Monday Health Minutes, sponsored by Valley Health.
Hi, I'm Melanie Schaefer. Welcome to Monday Health Minutes with Valley Health. Social media has touched everyone's life. It is pretty much pervasive in all that we do. That includes our teenagers too. And it's so important to teach them how to appropriately use and how to ingest social media. So we're talking with Dr. Rebecca Denning, psychologist, about this today and how we can help guide our kids through the social media experience. It's a very big deal.
It is. It's a really important topic, and there's still so much that we need to learn from a research perspective about it. But there is some emerging data that converges on points that parents really do want to be aware of, especially when it comes to their teenagers and social media use. American Academy of Pediatrics, American Psychological Association, and even the Surgeon General have released some advisories about it recently, so I think it's important for people to be aware.
Let's talk about those advisories, because social media sometimes can be difficult for adults to navigate, but it's even more difficult because teenagers are still developing.
Yeah, so this is a time period when there's tremendous risk that we want to be aware of. From ages 13 through your early 20s, there are really rapid developments in your brain. And then associated with that are huge changes in the role that social relationships play for us and how we navigate those. And social media sets us up to have some pitfalls when it comes to our teenagers and use. So there are things that we want to be aware of. Even things like the seemingly innocuous likes and followers. When our teenagers get notifications about that, it activates parts of the brain that are very heavily involved in repetitive behavior. And so it can really encourage this addictive quality to it. And research is suggesting that something like 50% of teenagers demonstrate at least one criteria of addiction when it comes to social media use. And if you've ever tried to limit your teenagers' social media use, I suspect that you've seen some of that, whether it's them becoming very distressed about it or even some of the sneaky behavior to try to gain access to it around your restrictions. So it's definitely something we need to be paying attention to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they always have it in their hands, constantly buzzing, sort of like we do too. That we're all a little bit addicted to our telephones. Let's talk about just content too, because sometimes we need to give our kids guidance on what's okay to post and what's not okay to post, because they may not be thinking about those things long term. They're only thinking about right now.
Yeah, and there are some really great media literacy programs that you can access. In particular, if you go to American Academy of Pediatrics website, they have some great resources that you can either work through with your teenagers or use as you're trying to prepare for your own discussion with your teenagers. But thinking through the types of information that we're putting out there is important. And I think we're not very cognizant of just how much we put out. Like maybe it's obvious not to put out our address, but we post pictures of us at the school dance that make it clear where we go to school, or pictures and posts that make it pretty clear what our routines and habits are. And I don't think we're always considering the potential implications of that. But there are even other things that people probably aren't as aware of, especially our teenagers, like how long you pause over a particular post or what links you follow. How you interact with that material controls what messages that you get put in front of you next or how those are framed. And if we're not careful, then we're just falling into that blind, and that can have some pretty big impacts.
Yeah, it can take you down bad rabbit holes as you do those social media. There are other cautions too, because of course as we open up their world digitally, there's cyberbullying to be concerned about, online harassment, even stalkers and scary people out there. What's your advice on that?
First, I think you have to be aware of the magnitude of the impact on that. It's easy for us to say, oh, you just got to ignore it, or it's not that big a deal. But for that teenage brain, it's a huge deal. There's almost an insatiable need for attention and reinforcement. And when we get that, we continue engaging in that behavior. But when it's criticism or your most embarrassing moments from high school posted online forever and ever for everyone to see, that can really be devastating. It's also a fertile ground even for social comparisons, which we know yields bad results for everyone, and especially teenagers. So we see increases in body dissatisfaction, depression, anxiety associated with those really normal human behaviors, but where social media sets us up for it in a problematic way.
Definite worthy topic for ourselves and for our children to give them some guidance. Dr. Denning, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here for Monday Health Minutes.